Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another TheeSportsScoop video and another weekly predictions. Today, we are doing our NFL Week 12 predictions. I'm joined by my wonderful host, Suraj Kadali. Suraj, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How about you?
And yeah, guys, our Week 12 picks. Again, you never know what's coming with TheeSportsScoop. Sometimes we have our very nice edited video, but today we have our presentation for you guys. So I hope you guys do enjoy the video. But today we'll be going over all games, our picks, and our records so far. Obviously, if you guys did not know, there's four hosts on the channel. Me and Suraj are two of them. And then there's Dylan, Shalom, and Charlie Nidell, who couldn't make it today. But Charlie and Suraj, as always, fighting for that top spot as they have been for probably the past 5 weeks, both tied at 103 and 59. Then Dylan at 97 and 65. And then I am at 94 and 68. Dylan's record, we didn't actually get to talk to him, so that might be a little bit off. But again, next week it'll be updated. But it doesn't really make much of a difference. Dylan will be in third place, so that's as much as we know. It's just the numbers might be a little bit off. But Suraj, excited to get into week 12. It's crazy. We're already there. Your Jets lost. My Giants still have to play, but let's get into the predictions. Suraj, I'm going to go to you first as we have thanks. Obviously, first of all, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We hope you guys all have a great Thanksgiving. Would have liked to have all four of us for our Thanksgiving video, but it is okay. Suraj, not the greatest way to start off. At least we have other games for Thanksgiving. Not the greatest way to start off. I would say two teams with a lot of heart, both losing. Actually, I recorded this video prior, but end up not, obviously finishing it. All eight teams, on the Thanksgiving slate, all lost last week, or six, I can't count. This is why I'm not in a good math class. All lost this week. So it'll be an interesting Thanksgiving. We'll see some teams kind of come in there with some motivation. But Suraj, Lions, Bears, is this a boring game? Am I mistaken? Do you have another take?
Yeah, I think this is a pretty boring game. Not sure really if Justin Fields will start. He does have rib injury, and Andy Dalton looked better.
Okay, so he did get injured,
anyways.
Right? Mm-hmm.
And the Lions just haven't looked good at all this season. So this will be a pretty boring game. We've seen two NFC North bottom feeders, but the Bears are, in my opinion, have significantly more talent than the Detroit Lions. They're just a lot more poorly coached. So I think the Bears should win relatively easily in this Thanksgiving slate that start with this Thanksgiving slate that isn't really too interesting to start off.
Yeah, I completely agree. Bears as well for me. I think I honestly think this game could go to the Lions, Surge. I think it'll be a low scoring game, especially if Dalton plays. This is a game that could swing either way. I think it's a Lions defense that stepped up. I want to appreciate Dan Campbell, or at least give him his credit. He's been a pretty good coach so far, or excuse me. I mean, obviously the record does not reflect that, but he's been a guy who we know he wants to win games. And I think he obviously has been very emotional and very kind of motivational towards his team. And I think the Lions have definitely been unlucky. Obviously it's going to come down to skill. They're not a very good team, but at the end of the day, if you really look at it, the Lions probably shouldn't be the worst team in the NFL. I think, a couple of games have not gone their way. But I mean, that happens to every NFL team. And I think the Bears, unfortunately, going to this one, if they stay fully healthy, defensively, they're good. And offensively, I think they have some, I would say they have a couple downfield weapons. Obviously, Darnell Mooney's been very good. So I think, again, and obviously with, two young running backs, I would say when you look, these teams are pretty comparable. Not very great coaches, although I just did praise Dan Campbell. So far, not very great coaches, and then really good young running backs. And I think that will be the game. It'll be the run game, which I think the Lions could definitely win. I think Swift is a game changer, but I'm going to go for the Bears. Next game we have, Surge, Raiders, Cowboys. Gets a little bit more interesting. Both teams lost. Cowboys lose to the Chiefs, which we all should have predicted. But I had the Cowboys. I'm not sure if you had the Chiefs.
I had the Chiefs. Cowboys.
You had the Cowboys. No, we were the two who had the Cowboys. But Surge, I mean, what I was saying is both these offense, when they're on their day, something I've been saying lately, both very high scoring, both potential 30 plus. But I think this game could go two ways. It could go low scoring or high scoring. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I just can't see any way the Raiders win this game because even though the Cowboys are coming off a loss to the Chiefs, they are still a very good offense. Even if they could very well be shorthanded without CeeDee Lamb or Amari Cooper, but I don't think that'll stop them from winning, considering the fact that they just start from.
I apologize for the little mistake there, Serge. Continue. What do you got for this game?
Yeah, so I think I already think even though the Cowboys are coming off a loss, I do think that they are in a significantly better position than the Raiders, considering the fact that the Raiders just have been in such a downward spiral. Their offense can't seem to be going, which kind of honestly makes sense. They don't really have any real weapons at wide receiver other than maybe Hunter Renfrow. But So, and I think the Cowboys, even shorthanded at receiver, they've got a much more potent attack on offense, and they've got a solid defense as well. So at home, Dallas should cruise on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, I think as well. And I think we always see Dallas cruise Thanksgiving. Obviously, last year, I believe they played Washington, won. They're always on the Thanksgiving slate. And I think the Cowboys have this certain aura to them or this certain play style on Thanksgiving Day. It's very much high powering. And I think it's, again, losing to the Chiefs, that was a game for the Cowboys. I think that hurts a little bit more than we think. The Cowboys think of themselves as contenders. They think of themselves, this is a team, we have Super Bowl chances. And I think losing to the Chiefs, that they knew was going to be a hard game. They knew, obviously the Chiefs, were starting to look like the real team, but if they could have beaten them, it would have been like, okay, the Cowboys really are that team. So I think that loss is going to hurt them a little bit more. And then, obviously the Raiders are no joke of a team. I think, what I was talking about was obviously they're pretty typically they climax very early and then they fall in the second half. And I think that's what's happening. So I'm going to go for Cowboys as well. I think they'll roll. I think they could put up 30 like the Bengals did this week against the Raiders, but I'm going to lock Cowboys. I think this could be a lock game. Next game, another interesting one. Another two teams that both losses, obviously all six teams lost in week 11, but it's a Bills team that is concerning. The Bills team that's, starting to be concerning like the Chiefs team, but I think this Bills team has more or Bills fans should have more concern because, the Chiefs we know have been very successful, but the Bills have been the team that have struggled and haven't made that next step. And to see them lose to the Colts and in that fashion at home, it's definitely concerning. Going up against the Saints, Suraj, prime time on Thanksgiving. What do you think? I think,
Yeah, I think the Bills have looked very weird to me because I've seen this like almost all season, but the Bills seem to almost have regressed a bit as an offense. And until like the past few weeks, really no one had been talking about it. Like their run game still doesn't seem to really be figured out with Moss and Singletary. Josh Allen, I'm not really sure he's been a bit more mistake prone, and obviously maybe his offensive line hasn't been great. Maybe that could have been a factor, but the Bills just haven't looked very good. That being said, they're playing a Saints team that's quarterback is Trevor Siemian. So I find it very hard to believe that the Bills are going to drop a game like this, but I wouldn't put it past them. I think this will be a defensive battle. Buffalo will play their greatest football, and Sean Payton's an offensive genius, so he'll kind of keep pace with, again, a struggling Bills offense. But I think Buffalo, they've got too much talent. I think they'll still put New Orleans away.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go with the Bills. It's definitely been an interesting few weeks for them. I think being 6-4, and especially now the Patriots being ahead of them, there's definitely concern. If they stay first in that division, no matter how bad they're playing, at least, they're up there. But no, I wouldn't say it's alert, kind of hazard buttons, in Buffalo. I think still they're still a good team. And I think, again, it's Surge. It goes back to when we talked about the draft. This team is going to struggle if you are a one or you don't have, several facets in that offense. And a run game is so important. And the fact that they skipped on an Etienne got taken before, actually, I believe last year. I think Najee did as well. So, we'll see there. But, not going for maybe a Michael Carter in the later rounds or trading up. I think it's going to bite them. And I think this year, obviously I always go back to the draft. At the end of the day, this team will not be a Super Bowl team until they get a run game. I think, you look at the current offenses, and I guess you can look at the Chiefs and they're a little bit of an excuse, but the Bills aren't that good offensively. It's mainly Stephon Diggs. I thought Gabe Davis would take a step up. I haven't heard his name all season. I actually don't even know if he's playing. Again, there's been so many injuries. Quiet. I think he is playing, but going back to the game, obviously, Surge, yeah, like you said, Trevor Siemian, I'm not sure if Kamara will be back. If he isn't, then it's obviously a Saints offense that's, very poor. And then a defense that's still good. Obviously, I think the best run defense in the league. But then the Eagles put up 40. The Eagles, another team we'll get to, but, the Eagles kind of ran all over them. So I'm going to go for the Bills here. But again, I mean, these are all games that are on upset alert. I think all of the teams we didn't predict could win. I wouldn't, although I said the Cowboys are a lock, I think all these games, could go either way. And especially with how the NFL has been going recently, it's been crazy.
It's crazy.
But let's move on to the next game where we have a fantastic divisional game. Bengals Steelers. Bengals coming off a hot win against the Raiders 32-13, and the Steelers, they lost.
They're playing the Chargers right now. But
they're playing Chargers, right? I was going to say, why can I not remember? Playing the Chargers right now. I'm not sure. I believe they're losing. They were losing when I checked. But Suraj, what is your prediction for this game?
This is an interesting game. The Bengals got a much needed win against the Raiders, and Jamar Chase had again one of his great rookie season games. The defense looked pretty good. Joe Burrow looks okay, and they're going against a Steelers team that I think their offense is actually improving, but their defense might be a bit shorthanded. Not sure if they'll have Minka Fitzpatrick back for this game. I'm not sure they'll have TJ Watt back for this game. Not sure they'll have Joe Hayden back for this game. So it's a defense that could be very shorthanded, but an offense that is improving, especially with Najee Harris continuing to break out. It's a weird game. I'm going to pick the Steelers considering I can't tell you why, but in these like important divisional matchups, it always seems to be these types of games that Pittsburgh does win. And Cincinnati, they're a good team, but they're not a great team. And I think Pittsburgh, they're on the same level. I think they can get it done, especially considering their talent.
Okay, so hot take, you have the Steelers. I'm gonna go for the Bengals. I think the Bengals, I think the Bengals will roll in this one. The Bengals beat the Steelers earlier in the season. That was definitely a convincing game. We were like, okay, yeah, this Bengals team is legit. I think they still are again, on a thing I say, and there's probably other phrases, but on their day, the Burrow Chase connection is arguably the best in the league. I think, just the ability of Chase and especially that connection, that kind of, internal connection they have with one another has just been fantastic throughout the entire season. So I think this will be a Bengals win. I think it'll definitely be a tough one because the Steelers, like we've said, there's been those 3-4 teams where I think the Vikings have been one of them where we just I can never find myself to predict them, but they're always teams that can beat playoff teams. And I think the Steelers are a playoff team, but to me, it always comes down to Big Ben and they don't have their future quarterback on that roster. So to me, I've always seen it as a much weaker team because of that quarterback play. And then defensively, obviously a ton of injuries across the board. So I'm going to go for the Bengals here. I think they could expose them, but again, the Steelers have been able to win. So it could be a close one. Let's move on to the next game in the post-Thanksgiving window. And we have an interesting one, Suraj. The Dolphins that beat your Jets this week. And then the Panthers who fell to Washington in Cam's first game starting for the Panthers. And then obviously playing against his old head coach, Ron Rivera. What do you think in this one? I know you don't like the Dolphins very much now, not only because our other co-host Dylan rubs in your face that his Dolphins beat your Jets, but non-biased, which you never are biased. What do you think about this game? And I think, do you think this is closer than people think it is or is perceived to be?
Well, I couldn't see who people see really as a big favorite because the Dolphins are coming off a 2-game win streak, but the Panthers have been kind of mediocre all season. So I find this to be a particularly interesting game. So personally, I would have the Panthers winning this for the reason that the Dolphins are by far and away the team that blitzes the most in the league. And they're either going to continue to blitz and leave Christian McCaffrey on an island one-on-one with anyone, which no one in the league can handle him one-on-one. Or they're going to, again, be forced to go to a different system, a system where they don't pressure as much, where I don't think they are nearly as strong as a defense. I think Tua is going against a very, very difficult secondary, which includes Stephon Gilmore, who could easily get a pick against him. I think this could go either way, but I feel like Carolina are pretty well matched to beat Miami, especially considering I think they have more talent at the skill positions and they have a solid offensive line.
Yeah. I'm going to go. It's a tough one. I'm going to go for the Panthers as well. I think Christian McCaffrey, I'd say, has been a little bit underwhelming, but obviously the injuries and now he seems to be fully healthy. And I think, again, going up his, sorry, it's a class saying what is the solution to blitzing? Throwing screen passes. And if you can do that to McCaffrey, dump it off to him when they blitz, this guy is unstoppable. If you have the same amount of blockers as defenders, you're not tackling McCaffrey. This guy, obviously, we know is the most explosive running back. I think when he's fully healthy, you could argue the best running back in the league. But he's just been, obviously he's a threat, someone you can't really game plan against. You're kind of just hoping that you have that fantastic defensive performance, which I think Washington did. I mean, they won the game and they held him. I don't think he scored a touchdown. So no, I think it'll be a Panthers win. It's a Dolphins team that always, I think for the amount of overhype that Flores got, I think he's still a coach who can win games. I wouldn't say he's on the hot seat currently. My thing has always been, it comes down to Tua for me. But again, he won them the game, but it was against the Jets. So how, impressive is that really? But I'm gonna go for the Panthers here. I'm going to move on to the next one where we have my Giants playing the Eagles. I'm going to say it right now. The Eagles, Serge, we're going to hopefully do this week a video on playoff bubble teams. I think this Eagles team is really on the I mean, they have 3 first-round draft picks next year. If you're an Eagles fan, I would be really, really excited. Putting up 40 points again. I mean, last week they put up. Did they put 40 up? They put up 30 plus last week.
Something like that.
It's an offense that I mean, I was saying it. I really, really like Devontae Smith, and I think Jalen Hurts, people have been hating on or been sleeping on for so long. This guy's a franchise quarterback. Jalen Hurts, from what he's shown so far, can lead this Eagles team to wins. 40-point against the Saints defense that was supposed to be the best run defense. I think this obviously serves, like I said, the 3 draft first-round picks next year. I mean, this team is set for the future. And again, going against my Giants, who haven't played, they'll play Monday night against Tampa Bay, where I had them losing. I'm going to go. It's a tough one. I'm going to actually go for the Giants. I haven't picked them in a while, and I know I just hyped up the Eagles a lot. But again, it's the divisional matchups. You can't really predict blowouts. They're so close, and especially in this division, I feel like it'll come down to the wire. And I would say 2 teams. Again, the Giants, while they haven't been playing well, I think you look at them across the board, and the Giants are more talented across the board than the Eagles. I think the Eagles have been able to just have a ton more production, and most certainly does talent not translate to wins or obviously points. So I think the Eagles could definitely win it. I think the Eagles are probably favored to win it, but I'm gonna go for the Giants I wouldn't say a ginormous upset pick, but I think the Giants always can win games, and I'm relying on the defense to hopefully not let up 40, but I'm gonna go for the Giants here. Suraj, what do you got?
I'm going to go for the Eagles for the reason that for some reason the Eagles have the best rushing offense in the National Football League, mainly because of Jalen Hurts, but also because of whoever running backs they trot out, whether it's Kenneth Gainwell, Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, Jordan Howard. It's just confusing, but they are doing very well, and I completely agree with you on Jalen Hurts. I think Philadelphia never really should have been considered in the QB market.
And people still have them as the QB is the top need, and I just don't get it.
Exactly. And their next 5 games are against the Giants twice, Washington twice, and the Jets. They could easily be a playoff team this season. And I think going against the Giants, who I wouldn't say they're terrible, but they're not very good. And I think Philadelphia are definitely stronger. They're riding some momentum, and I think their defense isn't bad either. So I would predict Philly to win this game.
All right, fair enough. Again, I would not be surprised if they didn't. But now we move on to an interesting one. The Titans, who have beaten, are 8-0 against playoff teams, and then 0-2 against the 2 worst teams in the NFL. The Jets, well, not 2 worst teams, I guess.
2 worst,
2 bad teams.
Lions.
Yeah. So it's just saving grace for his Jets, but yeah. And then going up against a Patriots team that's red hot. If you guys didn't check out our Instagram, I posted. Just go follow it, but obviously posted the Patriots are back on top. God damn it, but they look like they're on the up, and they look like they'll be contending for a Super Bowl pretty soon, if not this year, which a lot of people are predicting, which could be, God help us all. Let's hope that a dynasty doesn't happen again. But going against a Titans team that, like I said, has beaten playoffs teams, this I think is the hardest one yet, Suraj. I'm going to let you go to it first. I want to see what you think.
Yeah.
But I think this is a very, very tough game to predict, especially with the recent trends, because, the Patriots have been fantastic and been winning, but the Titans have been beating good teams. So it's a tough one. What do you think?
I think the Titans will be fine. I think a lot of people are overreacting to this Texans win. The Titans had another game like this against the Jets, and they rebounded with 6 straight wins until they lost to the Texans. I think, but that being said, the Patriots, I've seen some people saying this, and I think they're right. This kind of reminds me of like the old Patriots, like not like the old Patriots, like the old Patriots, like from 2001 to 2006, where it's like a young Tom Brady, an emerging defense, a genius in Bill Belichick, and they're kind of just like riding that to a Super Bowl, and I think they could do it. I think the way they're playing, their skill positions are not great, but I don't think they're terrible. First, I think Jacoby Myers has been pretty good this season. First NFL touchdown, I'm thrilled for him. Kendrick Bourne's been a very solid weapon. And obviously they got Damon Harris and Ramondre Stevenson in the backfield, who have both been solid options, and an improving offensive line. And obviously their defense has been stellar this season. So it's a tough game. I'm going to go with the Patriots, given on recent form. And they've been beating teams, not only beating teams, but beating teams convincingly, like the Patriots of old. It could be very soon where, again, it's like, just don't pick against them because it's the Patriots. So I'm going to go with New England here.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I'm going to go with New England. I think this is a New England team we haven't seen for 2 years, a New England team that looks like they can win out. And we haven't seen that since Brady. Mac Jones looks like the best quarterback, which I want to do a video on Mac Jones. A lot of people are surprised, Serge. I talked to you about this. I mean, we not all predict this. We all knew Mac Jones was going to be the best quarterback. We knew he was the most pro-ready guy. So I would say saying Mac Jones is the best guy out of this class and will be. I mean, he might be. He very well could be, but we all knew these other quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence, I guess, is a little bit of an exception. He's been a little bit disappointing, but all the other ones we knew would be projects. I mean, obviously, all the credit to Mac Jones. He's been fantastic, and I would say taken not the amount of wins this Patriots team should have, not a 7-4 team. I saw this really funny video. It was like it was like never mind. It was like 3 different records. It was like Mac Jones took a 3 and the Patriots should be 9-2.
Yeah, because the
Patriots should be 9-2, but they're
Folk
7-4 with a 3-6 roster or something like that. Didn't add up. Whatever. You know what I mean? It was, which that was a bit of a cluster to some of your guys, to some of the viewers, but you know what I mean? I'm going to go for the Patriots here again. I think Tannehill looked a little bit shaky against the Texans secondary. That is pretty, bereft of talent. To say the least. So I'm going to go for the Patriots here, but again, it could be a toss up. I honestly think the Titans could blow this one out, but I think we're finally starting to see, I think we could be seeing the lingering effects of not having Henry. This passing offense might start to get a little bit exhausted, and against, a top 5 defense in New England, I think New England could capitalize. Let's move on to the next game where we have the Falcons played the Jaguars? No.
Well, this season the Jets. Couldn't have.
I know. I don't know why I thought that. I saw this game and I was like, didn't the Falcons play the Jaguars? And then I noticed it was the Jets.
See what you mean, though.
You know what I mean? Like, I was like, this game seems very familiar. It didn't, like, do you know what I mean, Serge? I don't know. Maybe
I know.
I know that you can't play a team twice if you're not in the division. I'm not stupid, but I was like, I said that very badly. I don't know why I asked you as this game happened. It just seemed like it happened. This was just like the Patriots explanation. Very, very confusing. But Serge, let's move on to the prediction. What do you got in this game?
I'm going to keep this one short. I just think Atlanta are going to win. I think the Jaguars, they're not they're a bad team, but they aren't like incapable of winning a game like this. But I think Atlanta, coming off being shut out by New England, they'll rebound pretty nicely. They still have an above average offense, not great, but above average. I think Kyle Pitts could have another really, really good game after maybe slightly disappointing past few weeks. And I think Trevor Lawrence may continue to struggle with like a team, again, bereft of talent on the offensive side of the ball. And that's what I'm going to say. Yeah,
I would literally have the exact same explanation. I think what I was saying is when it's really close, you look at the roster and that's how you make your best fit prediction. And that's why I'm going to go with the Falcons. Again, it's an offense that, I would say has, pieces there. And as you said, Kyle Pitts has been great, and hopefully Cordell Patterson will be back, and that adds definitely a lot more. So I'm going to go for the Falcons here. Let's move on to the next one where we have the best running back in the league right now, Jonathan Taylor, going up against a pretty good Buck. Actually, I wouldn't say it's been all right Bucks defense, definitely not as good. This is a tougher game to predict. I would assume the Bucks will beat the Giants, but I don't know how that would impact. But Surge, looking at this game, it's again, the Colts have been one of those teams. I was talking about the Steelers. The Colts have been one of those teams where I don't find myself predicting a lot, and I probably won't find myself predicting them in this game, but they've been good. Carson Wentz, again, has had a pretty good season. I just have not talked about him, heard his name that much. But Jonathan Taylor, 5 touchdowns against the Bills. First rusher to get over 1,000 yards this season. He's been incredible. I would say probably a front runner for offensive player of the year. But Surge, what do you got in this one?
I'm actually torn. Could it be an upset? I feel like the Bucks, though, they won't lose back to back because I feel like Tom Brady won't let that happen. I think they're a team too talented on both sides of the ball to lose back to back. And Indianapolis, for as good as they've been, this is a big test even at home. And I think the Buccaneers are very capable of getting the win. And this would be, I feel like, a signature win for Tampa, who really, other than that Cowboys game, they haven't really beaten anyone like exceptional, would I say. But I think this would be a big win for Tampa, and I think they will get it done.
Yeah. I'm gonna go for Tampa as well. Again,
Yeah.
not losing back-to-back games. I would still say a contender, for the Super Bowl. But again, it's a Colts team that is fantastic. I think Jonathan Taylor, if this guy can stay healthy, he's gonna be up there. This guy is fantastic. And to pinpoint one of his talents, he has so many. But I think it's again that just powerful rushing is just on his side. And again, when Derrick Henry and McCaffrey are healthy and producing, he probably isn't the best, but he's young and he's flying, and it's a Colts team that I would say is on the up. You're looking at in the future if they can, maybe get another quarterback, but you're not assuming Wentz is the future guy. I think it'll be a very good Colts team, but I'm going to go for the Bucs here again. It comes down to, roster wise. And again, they're Super Bowl champions and it's Tom Brady. So I think you guys understand the prediction. Let's move on to the next one where we have the New York Jets and this is not a great game. What do you got on this one?
Yep. It's an old-fashioned tank bowl.
It is
kind of vying to lose. And I think I am going to go with the Texans here. The reason why is that actually I don't have much reasoning, but
I don't even know.
I don't know. The Jets just haven't looked very good recently. I feel like I can't justify picking them. Mm-hmm. It's hard to pick the Texans either, but they're coming off a win, which means that they very well could lose. So I feel like it's very hard for a team like the Texans to win back-to-back. I don't know. This is a weird game to predict, but I'm just going to go with Houston. I don't know why. I just yes,
the depression just hit when we talked about
both they're both very bad teams.
Yeah. The depression just hit when we started to talk about the Jets.
I mean, just
I know.
Yeah.
All right. I'm actually gonna go for the Jets.
This game.
I'm actually gonna go for the Jets. I don't know why. I mean, at the end of the day, it's two very bad teams. So when you talk about why, I mean, it's just I don't know if Zach Wilson's back. I hope he is, but if not, it'll be the number 19 Joe Flacco. Again, Elijah Moore is starting to get a lot better. I'm not sure. Are you hearing that? It's like some reverb thing. Is that me? You hear that a little bit? I'm not sure what that is, but
no, I think it's just I'm not really.
Oh, okay, it might just be me. But yeah, I'm gonna go for the Jets here. Again, don't know why. But let's move on to the next game. Chargers Broncos divisional matchup. Broncos coming off a bye. Chargers currently playing against the Steelers. Short week for not short week. But Suraj, what do you got in the divisional clash?
I'm gonna go with the Chargers here because I think they are, even though it's a road game in Denver, which is never easy. I think the Chargers have an offense that I feel like is balanced. They can pass the ball and they can run the ball. And they've got a defense that's capable, especially against a vulnerable offense like Denver that I feel like is very it's a one-trick pony. You gotta get the run game going to kind of establish the passing game, even with all the weapons on the field like Sutton, Judy, Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but so I just think the Chargers have been more impressive this season, even though they have also been relatively inconsistent. So I've got to give it to Los Angeles.
Yeah. I definitely, I would agree. I think, it's a close one. I could see the Broncos winning again. Predictions have really just killed me this year. I mean, it's just so hard, especially in divisional games like this, where the Chargers have been up and down. Herbert hasn't looked good. And it's a Broncos team that we saw go to Dallas and win. I could see them winning, and it is a very, very tough game to predict. I'm going to go for the Chargers here. Again, it just comes down to, who has the better team and who is hot, but the Broncos coming off a bye. It could go either way, but I'm gonna go for the Chargers. And again, guys, always comment your predictions down below because we want to know what you guys are thinking. Let's move on to the next one where we have the Vikings and 49ers. It's a good game. I think it's a 49ers team that has picked it up. At the end of the season, obviously, convincing win against the Jaguars, and the Vikings who got that field goal win against the Packers. Two teams I don't find myself predicting too often. I'd say the 49ers a little bit more now, but Suraj, when you look at this game, what do you got?
Yeah. This is a tough game because I think the Vikings are much better than their 5-5 record, but similar to the Chargers, I think they're a very inconsistent team. So they could confuse us and think, oh, they could go on a winning run, use the Packers game as almost a momentum game. But not going to against a 49ers team that has been pretty good in terms of the passing game with Deebo Samuel, with George Kittle now that is back, against a kind of weak Vikings secondary. And Kyle Shanahan, he's a great offensive mind. Their running game with Elijah Mitchell is pretty solid, and their defense picked it up as well recently. I'm gonna go with the Niners. I know it's probably an
Mhm.
unpopular pick, but I feel like this is a game that the Vikings would drop. I don't know why, because it's just the way that their season's gone so far. What about you, Kian?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, Serge, we kind of have like minds. I think the 49ers, the way they've
Mm,
been using the receivers recently has been very interesting. Deebo Samuel got 9 carries against the Jaguars for 80 yards. He had like 2 catches, and he still, again, I don't like to go to fantasy, but he still had like 20 points. He's been fantastic. Deebo Samuel is arguably broken into that top 10, top 8, maybe even top 5, depending on what you think. And then
possibly.
obviously Justin Jefferson, he's showing us, he may have been a little bit quiet, but I mean, just showing us why he is still a fantastic receiver. And then, again, the Vikings win against a Packers team in a game that we knew would be close. But I'm going to go for the 49ers as well. I 100%, this is probably the pick if I could guarantee one of my picks to go wrong, obviously I wouldn't guarantee any because I'm just that smart. This would probably be the one that I think could go wrong. But again, it's the 49ers defense has definitely stepped up. It's the 49ers team that we've seen, a Kyle Shanahan team that, has started to get a little bit better. So I'm going to go for the 49ers here. But we'll move on to the next one where we have Matt LaFleur against Sean McVay, two of the best coaches in the maybe not Matt LaFleur. We'll say
No, I
Sean
would
McVay.
agree. Yeah.
I think Matt LaFleur is, but
No,
Sean McVay.
LaFleur definitely.
No,
Yeah,
definitely is. I
and
don't
I
know why I
think
said that, but
and I think Sean McVay, yes, as
yeah,
well.
we know
I
Sean
think they
McVay,
both
but
are.
Serge, game of the week, I would think. Game of the week.
Yep.
What do you got?
I'm gonna go Packers, given the fact that
Rams coming off bye,
Stafford
if
has
I'm not
cooled
wrong,
down.
right?
They
Rams
are
on,
coming off a
yeah.
bye, but they're going to Lambeau in
Okay.
November, which is never easy.
Mhm.
And Stafford has cooled off a bit recently. And the Packers defense, even though they did have a great week against the Vikings, I think they should rebound again at home against the
Mhm.
Rams. And I think Rodgers, he should get back to his normal self with connecting with his receivers like Devontae, like Lazard and MVS. But
Mhm.
that offensive line could be a bit hurt because Elton Jenkins,
Mhm.
he did tear his ACL, which is a huge loss because he provides such versatility across the line. They could be getting David Bakhtiari back, which is important for Green Bay. And it could be a good team. I think Los Angeles, they're kind of slipping a bit recently. They will get a win. They're too good to not get a win
Mhm.
soon. But against a good team like Green Bay, I think this could be a big win for the Packers.
Yeah. Oh, man, it's a tough one. This is certainly a tough game to predict. I'm going to stick with you. I'm going to go for the Packers as well. And I think it definitely comes down to Lambeau Field. I think, that LA to cold Wisconsin definitely makes a difference. And we're going to see that Devontae Adams, Jalen Ramsey matchup that Devontae Adams won in the playoffs last year. But I think it's a Packers team that right now is a little bit better. Obviously, that loss to the Vikings. I think you can't really attribute that to, oh my God, the Packers are overrated. I think it's, one
The
of those ones
Vikings
where,
were underrated.
yeah, we knew the division. That
Almost.
would be a tough divisional game. I think the Packers knew that. I think everybody knew that. But I'm going to go for the Packers in this one. Let's move on to the next game. Is this the last game of the week? It might be. It is not. Sorry. We have
Second to
Seahawks
last.
Washington. But this is Sunday night football. Again, great divisional matchup. We're seeing the other game in this division, obviously, in between the Bengals and Steelers that we talked about earlier. Surge, Ravens, Broncos, Browns. What do you got on this one?
This is literally a toss-up. I can't predict because even though the Ravens have been better this year, they're just so inconsistent. The Browns, they're also so inconsistent. I have no idea which team will see either one of these teams because the Ravens haven't looked great recently, even with the win against the Bears. And the Browns, they haven't looked good either. They both are just such suspect teams that I can't see a favorite. So I'm gonna pick the Browns because I still really like the Browns roster and I like what they're doing. I think the Ravens are capable of losing this game. But that being said, they could also be capable of winning like by 40. I wouldn't be surprised at all because the Browns are easily capable of a terrible game and the Ravens are capable of they're playing their best football at the same time. So really don't know what to predict. I'm going to go with the Browns though because I do like their roster. I think having Nick Chubb back is definitely working for them. I don't know. They might get, who knows, maybe they'll get Kareem Hunt back, but I am going to go with I'm going to go with Cleveland here.
Yeah. You're going to go with Cleveland. Wow.
Yeah, I know. I feel weird picking them, but
so,
against a team that is equally as like unpredictable as Baltimore, I feel like it
so
makes
Lamar
sense
is still out?
almost. No, he'll play against against
I
Cleveland.
I gotta go for the
I can't see
Ravens.
his illness like over the
Yeah,
week.
but it was a
Fair.
severe illness apparently. But I mean, I
Mm.
gotta go for the Ravens. I think it's an offense that's too explosive. You guys know how much I love Rashad Bateman's production recently. And I think Marquise Brown has stepped up, although I guess hasn't been too good this week. And then again, they got
injured. He was injured this week.
And I think the end of the day, we're going to see when the playoff picture starts to kind of come into full effect, we're going to see how important that Bears win was and how important that Hundley, kind of clawed out that win at Soldier Field. I think it was a big win. And I think the Ravens go into this one with Lamar back. I just see an offense that will outduel a Browns team that's just been very confused, and it just sucks because again, the Browns we were like, okay, this team could be fully rebuilding, and now they're like kind of not, and it's they're in a very awkward stage, and I think the Ravens will take advantage of that and go and win. But the last game of the night, we have the Washington football team and the Seattle Seahawks. Suraj, it's a great game. Is it a great game? I don't know why. Sometimes you just say that.
Two not very good teams, like 3-7 Seahawks, which just doesn't seem right because they always seem to have a winning record. But even though the Washington football team, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they have the same record. No, they are better than the Seahawks. They are 4-6. They just don't seem like a much worse team. And that's maybe even though they beat the Bucs. I mean, I don't know. They just don't. I don't know how to explain. The Seahawks have Russell Wilson. I think that's probably why, and they have DK Metcalf, and they've got a much better offense. And Washington they're too inconsistent on offense, and they're a very untrustworthy team. But they've won back-to-back games, which makes this an intriguing matchup. But I think, given that the fact that it is in against this Russell Wilson, and the Seahawks are 3-7, which feels weird. They will be hungry to win this game, and I think they will win it barely. It'll be close though. I wouldn't be surprised either way.
Yeah. I'm gonna go for the Seahawks. Yeah, it comes down to Russell Wilson. I think, the past week it's kind of been getting back into that throwing motion. I think the finger injury probably has a little bit more of an impact than we think, obviously, because, you throw the ball with it, but it was on his left hand, right? So it's not as dominant. No, it wasn't on his throwing hand. It was on his throwing hand because he threw through and into Aaron Donald. Yeah. So again, I think that was part of it, kind of just getting back into things. And I think, for other quarterbacks or not as good quarterbacks, it might take 2-3 weeks, but I think Russ will be back into it. And I think it's a Washington team that Heineke's been, obviously was kind of played a spoiler today against the Panthers. And, everyone's like, all right, he's going to, Cam Newton's going to come back and he's going to beat his old coach. And he came back and won. And I think Heineke has that sneaky kind of agility and that speed to get out of the pocket. And I think Wilson does as well. But you kind of look at, comparatively, it's a Seahawks defense that has found a gem in Trey Brown, the corner they drafted this year in the 4th round. Then it's a Washington defense that without Chase Young definitely takes a hit. It's still a defensive line that's fantastic. But I'm going to go for the Seahawks. It comes down to sheer power. And I think, DK Metcalf and Lockett, who has not been good, but Lockett at prime time, this guy can put up 7 million fantasy points or 70 points just out of nowhere. So that is always very much the potential of happening. So I'm going to go for the Seahawks in this one. I think it'll definitely be a close game. Yeah, that's my pick. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Do make sure to like and subscribe. Follow us on social media at TheeSportsScoop. And obviously, go TikTok, Instagram. We post a ton of interactive content, kind of that, I don't want to relate, but that ESPN kind of like, I don't even know how to explain it, like graphics and stuff like that. But if you guys want to go interact with us over there, you can always message us over there. We respond to anything. We're always up, and comment your picks down below. Keenan McDermott, Suraj Kadali, The Sports Scoop. And without further ado, we'll see you in the next one.